Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to see you all here. Thank you all so much for joining. I am Amrita Mishra, and today we are going to talk about how to prepare for consulting interviews in B schools. So, this is going to be a very generic overview of what happens in B schools when you're preparing for consulting, um, whether it is for your internship or whether it is for the finals, right? Whether it's for the job. So I had got consulting shortlists in both in my during my internship as well as in my finals. So I'll just share my screen and let me know when you see my screen. Just a second. All right. So yeah, how to prepare for consulting interviews in B schools. So yeah, just I would like to introduce myself before we start. I'm Amrita Mishra. I am the typical combination of engineering and MBA that you will very commonly find in India. And I completed my BTech in Computer Science and Engineering from NIT Raipur in 2020. After which I joined IIM Calcutta directly. I cracked the CAT exam and my interviews, and then I joined IIM Calcutta in 2020. And I was the COVID batch who who had both of their years almost work from like almost at our home, right? So I completed my MBA from home, and I was fortunate enough to get an internship at Vedanta Resources Limited in for my internship, and currently I'm working in Mastercard. So my internship was in a Genman role, but then in the finals I got into a consulting role. Even though like I was shortlisted for a lot of consulting, like I was shortlisted for consulting profile in a lot of companies in during my internship as well as in finals. So that's all about me. Um, so what we are going to talk about today is first thing is that there are three stages in consulting interview preparations in B school. The second one is how to make a good CV for consulting roles in B school and what kind of questions are asked in a consulting interview. So as I said, this is the overview of in the consulting interviews, and there's a lot of things that go into this. So I'm hoping that I'm able to cover it all and you can get a gist of how like you can get a flavor of what happens in a consulting interviews usually. So the three stages of consulting interview preparation is the first thing is that you prepare your CV, then you apply for different companies that come to your college for campus placements, or you can even apply outside. Like there are a lot of people who apply for consulting roles outside. Then there will be pre-interview engagement. So once your CV is shortlisted, there's a lot of preparation that you start doing, and there are a lot of pre-interview engagement activities that are done by the consulting firms themselves. So for example, we had a lot of like lunches and dinners, but again it was all online. So I think you might get a chance when you are in B school that you will have all those lunches and dinners offline. You will get a chance to meet a lot of people from these consulting firms, and you get a chance to interact with them and learn more about how it like learn more about how their day looks like, how what kind of work they do, what kind of projects they are involved in. You can also understand the overall vision of the firm, where it is going. You can even understand whether the company is suited for you or not. So there are a lot of things that you get to understand in this pre-interview engagement activities. And also many a times in these engagement activities, the consulting firms assign you a buddy with and you can reach out to them for any queries. You can practice cases with them, and they also give you feedback on how you can improve and how you can be better at whatever you're doing. And then finally the D-Day, where when the the final day of interview, right? So yeah, these are the three main stages of consulting interview preparation. and I will be going through them one by one. I think I've pretty much explained the pre-interview engagement part. So I will be focusing mostly on the consulting CV and the D-Day. So just a second, let me change my slides. Right. So how to make a good CV for consulting roles in B School. So one word that you will commonly hear is balance. Like you should have a balanced CV if you want to get into consulting. So it means that what does balanced CV mean, right? So balanced CV means that none of the sections in your overall CV should have too many points or too less points, right? So it should not be that if you have a lot of academic achievements, you have filled your CV with all the academic achievements, and there is very little space for adding your internship or your work experience or even the extracurricular activities. So there should be at least two buckets in every section. So for example, if we are talking about extracurricular activities, maybe you can have two sections. For one can be for your sports and another one could be for any cultural activities you are a part of. So there should be two buckets, at least two buckets in every section. What I mean by section is like if there's an internship is a section, academics are one section, and extracurricular activities are one section, and so on. Okay. So yes, have at least two buckets in every section and have 4 to 5 points in every bucket. And you might be familiar with the general CV rules that every point should be of exactly one line, and you should show the impact of your work, like how did it help in the overall project, or how did it help the overall company in their growth. Also, make sure that you use numbers, like don't have irrelevant numbers. Like it's not necessary to fill the CV with numbers, but then yes, if you quantify, it shows an impact and it creates a really good impression on the recruiters. Right. So also, if you have some more tips on CV that I have heard from my seniors and I would like to share with you. So when I was applying for internships, I had a couple of different roles that I was preparing for. So every role requires a different kind of CV. So while consulting requires a balanced kind of CV, probably in marketing, you can have a couple of extra points in your extracurricular activities. For finance, you might want to have a couple of extra points in your academics, right? So it differs. And for example, I was preparing for product management and I was preparing for consulting. So in product management, we need to use a lot of technical terms. The Like, since I was an engineer, I had a couple of tech based internships, and I had to use technical terms in that, so that it gets selected, right? So but in consulting, most of those, like, it might get too technical for the recruiter to understand, whoever is reading my CV. So I avoid using too many technical terms or too much of those words which cannot be commonly understood by people. So that is how you should create a consulting CV. It should be balanced, which means none of the sections in your CV should have too many points or too less points. Have at least two buckets in every section, and then include numbers so that you can show the impact, right? Focus on the impact. Like, you have to present that you are really good, right? So yeah, that is all about the CV. Next thing is, what kind of questions are generally asked in a consulting interview? So, whenever you start preparing for consulting, the first thing that you will find, the first thing, or in every session, the very first thing that will be taught to you is guesstimates. Um, I am a little terrified of guesstimates, but again, you become better at it with practice. So what is guesstimates is, when you are asked to calculate a number, right? So you have to use certain estimations. I think the definition lies in the topic itself, right? Guesstimates, like you have to guess and estimate a particular number. So there are two ways of doing it. You can either go for a top-down approach or a bottom-up approach, and it depends on the problem. But again, it also depends on your approach, like which is what kind of approach is your strength, right? So like not all kind of problems can be solved by both top-down and bottom-up approach, but again, there are certain problems that can be solved by both the approaches. So a top-down approach can be used for problems like estimate the size of refrigerator market in India. So what we can do in this case is that the first we consider the overall population of India, then we divide it into income segments, or we divide it into the regions where they are, right? Like the areas where they live in, whether they live in tier 1 city, tier 2 city, or they live in villages. And like then again we select which of these segments might be using a refrigerator. Then we pick those segments, and then we divide them further to then we give them a number, right? So for example, let's say the population of India is 1 billion, right? And we say that 60% of them are in rural India and 40% of them are in urban India, right? And let's say we assume that in rural India no one is going to have a refrigerator, so we just focus on the 40% in the urban India. But again, in urban India, not everyone will be having a refrigerator. So we again divide them into income streams: high income, medium income, low income, so on and so forth, right? And then we assign them a percentage. So let's say high income streams have let's say 20%, and so on, right? So you get it with practice, and it is just a ad hoc way that I am doing it right now. I haven't solved this problem, but then this is an example of the kind of problems that you get. Similarly, a bottom-up approach is like estimate the number of unique people traveling via Delhi Metro on Blue Line on any particular day. So you can see what a typical day of a person looks like, and then you can just see in any particular station, and then you can multiply it by station, and then you can combine it, right? So top down means that you keep dividing and you keep choosing, like it's an elimination approach. And bottom up is a combination approach, you can say. Like you consider different fields, and then you keep combining them. So that is all about the guesstimates. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We will take them at the end of the session. So next comes the consulting cases, and most consulting cases fall into 4 categories. So one is profitability, second is market entry, third is growth, and fourth is unconventional. So we just and it is not necessary that a case will fall only in one of these categories. There will be a lot of consulting cases where you will have to deal with more than one kind of like it can be a mix of different types of categories, right? Also within the consulting cases also you might have to do guesstimates in for some problems or the other. So usually in market entry cases you might get guesstimate problems where you have to estimate the market size first, and then you have to do the further calculations. So anyway, let's start with profitability. So this is an example, like you can see on the screen, and it's an example of profitability case, like where the client will have either a decline, like might have a decline in profits, and we need to find out the reasons. So what happens usually in this case is that we divide the profits into revenues and costs, and then we dig down deeper to find out um, what exactly is the issue. So all right. So the next kind of case is market entry case. So market entry means when either you have a new product or the same market, or you have a new product, new market, or you have the same product and a new market. So any of these cases are possible. So here we are seeing that client is a health insurance company based in the US, and they're planning to expand to India. What is the insurance market segment they should enter? So again, like we will first try to understand the current, we'll understand about the client, what is the client specialize in, or what is the current status of the client in the US. Like that will help us understand what they can target in India, or what is the status of which of the market segments are in higher demand in India, right? So that will also help us to understand which market we should target, whether we should even expand or not. So this is another thing that happens in market entry cases. So it might happen that like the question will be what insurance market segment they should enter, but you should always first validate that whether they should even expand to India or not. So again, you have to check the feasibility of expansion or entry, and then you should proceed further, right? Okay, so let's go to the next case. So growth means, again, like as the word says, growth, you have to increase your profits, or you have to increase your revenues. So there is a difference between profitability and growth. So while in profitability, you have to identify the reasons why why there is a decline in profits. It's usually a decline in profits. That's why the client has even come to the consultant. But in growth, you have to think of different ways to like increase your profits. So increase your profits or your revenues. So again, there are a lot of different ways of doing it. So either you can penetrate better into the same market, or you can switch to a new market, or like so there are a couple of ways of doing it, right? So you can either increase the number of customers, and then again there are different ways of doing that. Anyway, so the next is the unconventional case. So unconventional cases are really unconventional. So one time I got this case that I am in a desert, I'm in the middle of the desert, and I have to find out why am I there. So and I don't remember anything about the last few days. So that these are the kind of cases that come in unconventional, like truly unconventional. It can be anything and everything. So the reason why they have these kind of cases, okay, I'll come to the HR round later, but first let me tell you. So what they want to see, what the interviewers want to check, is your approach to solving the problems. What are the different aspects you consider when you are solving any problem, or when you look at any kind of problem? So whether you're directly jumping into solving the case, or whether you're just first trying to understand what the problem is, then proceed towards solutions or suggestions, right? And even your recommendations should be MECE. So MECE is mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. So it should not be like you are suggesting the same kind of things. That is mutually exclusive. And then collectively exhaustive means you have thought of all kinds of possible solutions. So that is one thing. And again, then structure, right? You cannot go randomly. You have to bucket your different solutions, and let's say, um, just a second, let me think about it. Okay, so anyway, once you start practicing, to be honest, you'll get a lot of perspective into this, and it will not only help you in the consulting interviews, but again in thinking about real life problems also. So it has greatly helped me, and yeah, then again there's a focus on accuracy. So like whether you're doing estimates or whether you're doing consulting case interviews, you are not expected to know the exact answer, right? No one knows the exact numbers or the exact answers. But again, it should not be that you're talking about random numbers. So let's say you cannot say the population of India is 5 billion, because it's not, it's just 1 billion. So that is what I'm talking about. So you cannot say that in India there is just 20% urban population and 80% rural population. No, because I think the most of the most accurate division is, I think, 40/60 or 30/70 also. And then yes, right, practice makes perfect. So like no matter how much you practice, there might be some or the other feedback, but then again, you should be good enough. Like you should you should practice enough. So what I used to do sometimes is that firstly I would go through some consulting case books. I would go through a couple of cases first, so that I understand what is the usual structure that is being followed, what is the usual pattern that is being followed in this type of cases, right? And then from the next problem statement onwards, I would just not look at the book, and I would try to solve on my own. And then like cross check answers later if my approach was in the right direction, whether I was thinking in the right direction or not. One of the best, in fact, like the best way of practicing for consulting interviews is to prepare with someone who has already given the interviews, or who is also preparing with you, right? So whether it is the buddies that you have been assigned, or it is your batchmates, or it is your seniors, so you can definitely reach out to them for helping you practice. So they will also give you really good feedback to implement. And like in fact you can also think of a lot of new ways, like so feedback from one interview, it's not just general feedback, but then you can also get some new kinds of structure or new kinds of buckets that you can apply to other cases as well. So the more you practice, the more you're going to explore this, and it's going to be like you just improve with time. It's just improve with time, but as also make sure that you analyze your cases once in a while. So let's say every 10-20, after every 10-20 cases that you practice with people, just sit down and analyze. So how I used to analyze is that I used to resolve all of my older cases, and I used to write them in a structured format, so that I can understand where exactly, like which point led to what is the other point, right? So that you like it just helped me understand the flow of the structure of the case, and if I could find a similar case later, I can crack it more easily. So yeah, those are a couple of tips from me in when it comes to consulting cases. Now, right, talking about HR round is usually company specific. Like not all consulting firms have it, and they usually have company specific questions in the HR round. So just and make sure that you are well prepared with the HR questions. So these are a couple of questions. There can be others as well, right? So yeah, there's a difference between why consulting and not XYZ. So my profile was a little marketing heavy, because I was really into digital marketing stuff during IIM and even before that. So I used to get this question that why are you wanting to, like why do you want to go for consulting and not marketing? So you have to have a answer prepared for these kind of situations as well. And sometimes they might even start like probing you further to see whether you're actually interested in consulting or not. So just be well prepared with all of these questions, don't take them lightly. And ensure that you read about the company, not just about the news, but also about their values. And think of how you can match your values with them, right? So let's say the firm that you're applying for believes in innovation, right? So you can maybe talk about any innovative ideas that you have presented in your college for your college project, and that can be an example for you to like you can build on it, right? So definitely definitely prepare your answers well for HR round. You will find a lot of questions on the internet for this, and like just don't take it lightly. So tell me about yourself is a very 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 important question. It's like it's not just an ice breaking question, but it is also about like you leave an impression on the interviewer just with that one question. So make sure you prepare it well, and like you don't need to have all the things when you're talking about tell me about yourself, right? You can pick up certain instances from your CV, of even from outside your CV, and you can present them in front of the partner or in front of the HR. So right, use examples while presenting your answer. With every HR question, whether you're talking about your strengths or weaknesses, present them with one example each. Right, I think that's all from my end. Like, I am open to take any questions. All the best for your consulting interview preparation journey, guys. So this was a very basic overview. If you have any questions on this, like further questions, I would love to answer them.
Uh, Hello, Amrita. So Amrita, we do have, like few questions being asked by our participants.
Okay,
First of
great.
all, like this side Manish, I basically work at NextMeet as a product and growth manager. So the first question has come from Brihas Pathak. The question is, in guesstimates, there is no correct answer.
Yeah.
You are evaluated in the interview.
So you're evaluated. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for asking that question. Um, so again, as I said, right, in these kind of interviews, even in guesstimates, you are judged based on your approach and what is the kind of numbers you're putting in. So when I was talking about the rural urban example, right? So if you say 40/60, even if you say, let's say 35/75 or 30/70, it will be acceptable. But if you go directly like urban is 10% and rural is 90%, that is not acceptable. So this, as I also mentioned in my slides, you are judged based on your accuracy. There is certain level of accuracy, but again there is like they don't want exact numbers. Like no one knows the exact numbers, so you just have an approximation, but have a reasonable approximation, and you will be fine. Also your structure, like yeah, how, on what basis you are dividing the population, or what basis you are adding up certain numbers or multiplying certain numbers, right? So these are the kind of things that matter in a guesstimate.
Amrita, like Brihas is having the next question at the moment.
Okay.
The question is like, are there any different rounds for fresher MBA students? With
Right.
having some, and the students with work experience. Like, what's the main difference actually with the fresher MBA and with the student with having some decent work experience?
So as far as consulting is concerned, it I think the major difference, I don't think there is any significant difference when it comes to freshers versus students with work experience, because once you are in a B school, you are all batchmates, you're all at the same level. So you are just based on that. Also, secondly, can you please repeat the question again?
So Amrita, the question is, like, are there any different rounds for
Oh,
fresher MBA students
right.
versus students with work experience?
Right. So during my internship, I had majorly two rounds of interview, but during my finals, we had more rounds of interview, like three. I had four, but there are 3 to 4 rounds of interview during the finals. Also, the interview durations are very different during the internship and the finals. Like during the final placements, the duration of internship, the duration of the interview is slightly longer,
Got it.
like about 30 to 40 minutes. During internships is it's usually 20 to 30 minutes,
Mhm.
but during final placements it can go longer, depending on the case and how you are dealing with it, how you're moving forward, what is the kind of interaction you're having with the interviewer.
Got it. Amrita, this is one of my personal question I really want to ask you.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Basically, like I've been working in the field of product management and product marketing collectively, since 3 years now.
Hmm.
And before that, even I had my own experience of growing my own startup, scaled it up, and like exited as well. So I really wanted to know, like, can a person like me who have not really gone into MBA and who don't have any plan of doing MBA at the moment,
Hmm.
like, can get into management consulting? So that's a curiosity actually.
I think yes, but it also depends on the firms. Like there can be some companies who consider only B school students. There can be some other companies who also take, like, even there are a couple of juniors from different colleges, like even during my undergraduation, like there were companies like Deloitte who used to come to our campus to hire consultants. Like it was a bit into the technical consulting side, but yes, there are companies that go to NITs, IITs, or different other educational institutions to hire consultants. So it is possible that you have not done an MBA and you can be hired as a consultant. Secondly, if you are already pursuing a job and you want to get into a consulting kind of role, I think it depends on the firm. Like they like Mastercard does hire lateral hires. Like I have met a couple of lateral hires, so it is possible, but then it depends on the firm. So once you are in consulting, then you can switch to a different consulting company. But if you're not already into consulting, I think it depends. Also, consulting does not only mean that you're into management consulting with a with an MNC or with a company. Like you can start your own consulting company as well. So you're already into product marketing, right? So you can probably consult other startups and companies how they can uh, like grow their products.
Yes, Amrita. Thanks a
Does that
lot for your
answer your question?
advice. I'm sorry.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, I will say 80-20, but to meet that remaining 20, I have another question for you. I know I'm asking a lot of questions, so please don't mind. So
Not at
basically,
all.
the question is like, are the management consultant the good founders?
Okay. I think being a founder is a very personal. It's like a skill that you have to develop. Like not everyone can be a founder, but then again, people who want to be founders can be good founders, whether they are management consultants or not. So I don't think being a consultant and being a founder matches in any way. Of course, being a founder gives you a very good idea of how consulting would be like, because you can actually understand. If so, for example, if I am a founder and then I switch to consulting, and now I'm working with another client or another CEO level person, so I can understand their mindset better than a person or another consultant who has not been a founder previously. So it helps in that way. But I don't think being a consultant or being a founder is relatable. It's much relatable or something. We do
Got
understand different aspects of business better, so that is one plus point. But it does not guarantee that you will be a good founder or you will be a good consultant.
got it, Ramita. I think that answers my question.
Or
And now, actually, we have got a question from Anant Mishra. He's
okay.
asking, like, are there any real life examples of unconventional case? Can you please mention some?
Mm, so I don't think I got his question. So
A real life example of unconventional case.
okay, so as I said, I was asked in my interview this question that if I'm a person who just woke up and I find myself in a desert, and like I don't know where I am and I don't even remember anything. So how will you help me find out that thing? So like then you have to understand this problem. Then you have to ask clarifying questions, and there's a process after that. So yes, like people have been asked a lot of unconventional questions during the interviews as well. So I hope this answers his question.
I hope so. I think still I'm left to hear from Anand. So I think, Amrita, we are done with the major questions for the session. Guys, please let us know if you have any questions, with respect to management consulting. Please let us know in the chat section. We have Sajal, Brihas, Rusikesh, Anand. Guys, let me know if you have any questions here. Okay. So I think, Amrita, it is sorted, and we don't have any more questions at the moment.
Okay.
So yeah, thanks a lot for having us. Actually, thanks a lot for having this session, Amrita. It was really an insightful session, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. To be honest, I learned a lot of things today, and yeah, thanks a lot for doing this.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
And in the meanwhile, I just wanted to ask, like, how was your experience? Like the first time, doing a workshop inside the metaverse. Like, how was the experience?
Okay, so firstly, like before even talking about the platform, I'm very grateful for all the people who have joined on a Saturday evening when you could have done anything in the world. You chose to join my session, and it just means a lot to me. So thank you so much for that. And secondly, I have been using this platform for the last couple of days, and like I have been enjoying it a lot. I even invited one of my friends yesterday, and we just created different rooms and we were hanging out, so it was really a lot of fun. So yeah, I think it's great for like for example, if I have a meetup, or like for organizing virtual meetups, like it just gives a real life feel. So I wish I wish I knew about this during COVID, so that like I could have conducted a lot of my sessions over here. I used to conduct a lot of video sessions, so I would
Mhm.
have conducted them over here. So yeah, it's a great platform, and I'm looking forward to how this grows in the future.
Yeah, that was a very great, that was a very good feedback from your end, Amrita. Thanks a lot. And I
Yes.
think we are done with the session. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, team, for helping me. Yeah.